Hello, everybody. Okay, so we're gonna jump right into doing our 1 hour one shot, or about an hour, however long it takes to finish it. One shot with Rinson. How you doing?
Pretty good. Yourself?
I'm excited. I'm excited about season 3. So I love my Mass Effect stuff, and we finally kind of got to open it up to playing all these different races and stuff, and classes were fixed. And it's funny because actually I've already found ways to make the classes even better, but all yelled at me, so I'm not doing it. It's like, no, you'll never be done. And I was like, okay. So I'm not doing it, but I will probably for the future. But anyways, so let's kind of get jumping into the character. So just as a reminder, this is taking place about 6 or 7 years after the last season had ended. Okay, so a good amount of time has passed. This actually is taking place the year after Shepard joins the Alliance military. So he's still a young pop and a nobody in the military, but I mean, it's getting very close to when the actual video games start, about a decade before the video games start, right? So the worlds that you're currently in orbit around is a world by the name of Tyerma. It's an old Russian name, doesn't matter, in the system of Mycop. Okay, now your character, whose name is Licinia Constantia, she doesn't really know much about, like, she has a job, she knows what that job is, and so she's here to do that job, and we're going to kind of get to that in 1 second. So before we go any further, could you do me a favor? Can you just describe briefly character, who she is, what she does, what she looks like?
Sure. Licinia is a Taurian, female, which look very similar to male Taurians. They lack the frills on the side of the head, but they're about the same size and stature of their male counterparts. She has green markings on her face. Ollie's gonna do some wonderful artwork for that. And she is a soldier. Currently, she is not working with the Taurian military. She is on leave, and she is accepting a job stowing away on a Batarian vessel to sabotage it.
There you go. Awesome. So this job that you're doing, like you said, you're not currently working for the Taurian military. So it's just kind of like people were hiring. You're like, this is work I'm willing to do, and so you just pick up the job. Okay, cool. So it's nothing very specific or any loyalties that you have.
No.
You might remember better than I do because you've run recent researchers. Mine's kind of old memory. But I think the Taurians have 27 branches or levels of their hierarchy of social rungs. Does that sound correct to you?
I don't know if it was 20. I do know that there is a very strict hierarchy.
Yeah. It's
I don't remember how many levels.
I specifically remembered the lowest rung is citizens, civilians, sorry. The next lowest rung is recently into the military. That kind of goes up from there, and it's 20. I believe it's 27 structures. So that being said, with the age of your character, is she adolescent? Is she mid-range? Put it in human terms of modern day.
She has just finished her first terms of service, which all Taurians are required to do in young adulthood, I believe.
I think they get drafted into service at 15, and boot camp takes a year, remember. I believe. But go ahead, please.
So I'm not entirely certain how long terms of service are. It would have been 4 years, 8 years, the first branch. So after that, so we'll say late 20s, early 30s.
Okay, cool. And because obviously you're a statted level 3 character, you've had several bouts of success within that period of time, meaning that you're not sitting at one of those low rungs. You're actually doing pretty decent within the Taurian hierarchy itself. Okay, cool. I like it. So we can worry about her aspirations and whatnot if she has any for the future of the Taurian hierarchy in the future. So where are you? What are you doing there? As you had said, you've received a job to sabotage a Batarian vessel. This Batarian vessel you've discovered are apparently going to a planet that you've never heard of. You know what I mean? Somebody had said oh, it's over by this star, and you're like, I don't know what that is. It's not exactly you're a pilot yourself or somebody that charts the stars yourself or anything like that. But they're like, oh, it's over here. They kind of pointed a star map, and you're like, cool. That's pretty out of the way. Seems inconvenient, but sure, I'll do this job. So to take the job, where you had to jump onto it would have been a system a bit out of the way from where you are now. But it doesn't matter, because you took the job, you went to where you needed to, and you became a stowaway on this vessel. The way that you were able to do that is because the Batarians are going to this human planet to collect them as slaves, but they have many different methods by which they do that. It's not just like literally, haha, we got you. They actually will have fun with them. They'll toy with them. So one of the planets that they actually went to where they were collecting different types of animals that they like to use to like release towards the humans, and just kind of like, it's like a game to watch. Like sometimes the animals will eat the humans and it's like, haha, this is funny to watch. And sometimes, they'll just like injure them enough they can easily capture them. And sometimes their animals are just really good and loyal and easily trained enough that they'll bring the humans back for them. Less work for the Batarians to do. Yay. So what you were able to do is, of course, understand the way that they do these things, because being the military of the Citadel races, being a relatively successful person within that military, you understand the structure of Batarian slave rings. Mm-hmm. So you knew that this is kind of like a thing they do, and that your peoples haven't been able to stop yet. So you actually went to this planet, identified where the ship is, did your research to identify like where they were kind of like purchasing things from, and actually went and found your way into a crate. Now, here's the fun part. Taurians have a very different physiology from most of the other races that exist in Mass Effect. They are like Quarians. Their amino acids in their body are just, they eat different types of foods. They interact with the other stuff differently. Because of that, there are certain other creatures that will interact with you differently. So specifically, the crate that you put yourself into is a crate of a particularly vicious type of creature. We're going to say it's mammalian. We're going to use the Earth terms here. A mammalian creature that you would have been able to go into. It's about the size of a serval. So think of like a oversized house cat, like much larger than a house cat, but smaller than like a cheetah or jaguar or anything like that. However, these creatures are particularly vicious. One of the most vicious things about them is that their fur, the coat of fur themselves, has a natural toxin to them that if most people were to like pet them or brush against them, or they're attacking them and it just like brushes against them, very quickly becomes semi-paralytic. So think of like botulism or Botox. So semi-paralytic. But because of the amino acids in your body, you actually are immune to the paralytic nature of them. And so you, being a strong, tough soldier type, were able to semi-tame the creature so that you're actually sharing a cell with it. So like people would come and like put food inside of it during the transport, and you and this serval-like creature were actually sharing meals, and you almost had like a little bit of a pet with you, which is loads of fun.
Lovely.
Yeah, loads of fun. So that was actually the fun little transit that's happened. Look at that, I'm allowing you to have a house cat. It'll never happen again.
You're gonna kill it immediately.
Of course, come on. So flash forward. You, even though there is like a relative feeling when you're on a ship, you don't feel travel through space. However, jumping into and out of mass relay jumps and Mass Effect jumps, so using the relays or just traveling faster than light in general, you can feel that. That's like a huge surge of power. The engines get louder, stuff like that. At some point in time, you are kind of like tracking how far you're going. You're not a super scientist about this, but you know that you've finally gone through the relay, and you haven't been on the relay in a long time. Like you've been doing all these jumps inside of the relay, like, okay, we're getting kind of close. But the thing that really triggers you, that makes you know, oh, I'm about where I need to be, is when you start hearing an alarm go off within the vessel itself, and you're like, oh, something's happening. Okay, I'm supposed to be sabotaging the ship while it's being attacked. This is probably the timing. So what you end up doing is waiting until like people are kind of like, you actually hear the first blasts of gunfire against the vessel. You know that there's, of course shields are able to absorb it. You know that there's a bit of chaos going on. Well, people don't really give a shit about the animals inside here. They're not like watching after them. So when everything's happening out in the hallways, this is when you're like, now is my time to break free. Fortunately for you, these cells are not designed to hold people inside them. Certainly not designed to hold Taurians in them. So just dumb animals. So you were able to manipulate the locks easier to get yourself out for two reasons. One, simple like and get yourself out, but the latch that's on top of it, not only are you a Taurian, you happen to be a Taurian that has extremely well-treated and enhanced talons that are natural to your body. So you were able to actually damage and destroy the lock on the door and allow yourself out. You've gotten out of the cell now. I imagine you leave the kitty inside the cell?
Actually, I was thinking about releasing all the animals in the vessel.
All right. So this in particular one is friendly to you. And other ones of this type are not poisonous to you. That's not going to be true for the rest of the animals. And they do not have a one-button release, like mag-lock sort of setup here. They have cages because they get transported in and off the vessel and whatnot. So that being said, is it still your plan?
Could I potentially just release the ones that are not poisonous to me?
Absolutely, sure, yeah. Yep. There's only about a half dozen of them because they're expensive. But that's the half dozen could do some disastrous stuff. Cool. So because it's easy for you to open the locks, that's not an issue. It's easy for you to let them out. What I want you to do for me is roll me give me 2 seconds to look at you. I'll see you. No. I want you to roll for me a survival charisma check.
All right.
Oh, are you a 3d6 with survival?
No, I'm sorry. Am I rolling the wrong thing?
Yep. So so this is the new updated character sheets I did. Gray is 2d6, green is 3d6 drop 1, and purple is 4d6 drop 2.
All right, so never mind that.
Yeah. I keep updating the character sheets.
I just got used to the old ones.
Yeah. Well, it's meant to be pretty similar. Oh, that's still a good roll.
There you
So, more or less, when the animals get released, whether they just straight up ignore you and keep going because you're able to not come off as, like, an interest to them, or if they, like, start to, like, at you and you're just, like, back and they scamper away, they don't attack you. However, the one that's friends with you also doesn't go running off with the rest of them. Those four go running off. This one stays with you.
Awesome. All right.
So, where do you go from here? Your goal is to sabotage the ship. Obviously, you don't know the entire layout of the ship, and your character wasn't even fully informed of the entire layout of the ship, just the basics, but that's fine. When it comes to sabotaging the ship, weapon systems, the engine, the power core, communications, like, what is it that you want to focus on?
They are already being attacked. So I feel like damaging the weapons will be plenty to turn the tides of this battle. Perfect.
So when it comes to weapons, we're going to get you there in 2 seconds. Just something to think about in the back of your mind while we're working on this. Weapons come in kind of 3 grades. 4 if you include the defense. 3 grades including the defense. There's the long-range weapons, the ones that throw these blasts a good range out. There's the mid-grade weapons. These ones tend to be the most devastating because it's when they're like closer than the long, but not quite to the guardian system yet. This is where all of your heavy, because like in space, you can't just keep shooting stuff, especially when they're enhanced by mass effect fields. Because like if they don't hit your target, they keep going until they hit something, and that can be immensely devastating. So long-range weapons are very, very slow to calculate, and they fire very, very slowly. The mid-range ones are much, much, much faster because they can calculate more easily. There's usually multiple VI working on them. And the Guardian system is more defense than an offense, but it still punctures ships as well.
Yeah.
Which of those do you want to focus on? Ignore that question for now. So as you get out of this area and you have your serval-like creature following you, whose species name you have no idea, you're trying to sneak your way over to the where the weapons are. So I'm going to have you roll for me a stealth dexterity check, please. Okay, so that is a incredible roll right there. So with the greatest of ease, you slip out of that place. Those serval-like creatures go running and jumping and attacking other Batarians around, which cause a bit of havoc. And when the Batarians come to like, oh no, and they're like fighting them back, and of course like one of them dies immediately, and then they're trying to like shoot these things off, and some of them go scampering away. Some of the Batarians are injured or left there like paralyzed or semi-paralyzed, like they're dragging like a limb and their arm's not working. They actually go running into that room to see what the fuck happened and how it happens. And when they go running into the room, they make their way past you with the greatest of ease. They look around, they try to find out how this happens, and they come to the conclusion they think somebody was inside there. But once again, they can't find you. You are just ghosted. And so you take this opportunity to sneak away. And you do so easily. You find yourself far away from this room, far away from these Batarians, and along the hallways. There are a couple different routes you can take. The most direct route is to stick within the hallways themselves. Obviously, duck to the corners as much as you can. Surprise tag people if you have to. You could try to take to like air vents and stuff like that. Being a Taurian, you're not exactly small and lithe.
Right.
However, this is a cruiser. So like these kind of like passageways are much larger maintenance tunnels, things like that, much larger, so you can do it. There's kind of like your two options.
Well, I imagine there's not a lot of room to maneuver around the maintenance tunnels, like if I get caught while I'm in there. So I'm not going to take that route.
Okay, so you're going to kind of stick in the open and take your luck there. Cool. So do me a favor and roll for me another sneak dexterity check. Now, an important thing to keep in mind is that I'm not having you roll how to get there, because, like, again, it's just kind of basic knowledge. You can pull up, you're good. You know, it's like one of those first terminals. Just, this is where I'm going. And you start making your way.
Gotcha.
So the second check, you actually are sneaking along the hallways, and once again, nobody notices you. However, you do notice two Batarians that are in a hallway and arguing about what's going on, who it is that's attacking them, where it is that they came from. They've identified that it's a human vessel that's attacking them, but the vessel is much smaller, so they think they should be able to eliminate it relatively quickly, so on and so forth. So you see these two having an argument in the hallway. You still have your little serval friend by your leg.
Unless I can get one off by itself, I'm not going to try to bother with them.
Sure. I mean, you came here equipped. You've got your pistol, you've got your assault rifle, you're ready to go. So there's no question you have your heavy pistol and your assault rifle, as well as your own personal weapons. You know what's quietest. So unless you can... I'm sorry, what?
Unless I can catch, like, one alone or off guard. Like, I'm not going to try to take on two, because if I try to take on two, the other one's going to call for... Let them know I'm here, essentially.
Sure. So more or less, you're going to wait for now.
Yep.
Okay, so you wait out for a little bit, and eventually their conversation comes to a close, and one of them is going to kind of like head off to, imagine this is a four-way intersection, one of them is going to head off to the right, which is the direction you need to go. One of them happens to be heading back towards you, the direction you're coming from. Do you intend to...
I intend to take the one that's coming towards me, like, out.
Just like
very quickly.
End them.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
So, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to necessarily make a surprise attack because you're not right next to this person, and you don't have, like, that trait or Foki. But you're welcome to surprise attack in the sense that you get a free attack against them before initiative.
Okay, will do. And you know what? I'm going to use my Savage Ray ability for 150% damage on this one.
Oh, here we go. You're going to fucking end it. Okay. Yeah. This is part of the updated rules.
Just want to make sure I'm doing this right. You know what? I'm also going to use the dual wielding ability with my talons.
Oh yeah, of course.
Extra damage.
Yeah. -1 to hit, plus damage. Oh, and a good roll! Hello. So, that is a 22 chance to hit. You definitely hit that person. Roll your damage.
And this is going to be 150%.
Oh my god.
Oh,
so you're
like
adding 6 more damage to that?
More, yep.
19 damage, 19. Ignoring shields. You know what? First one, describe it.
So I lunge out at this person, just kind of like grabbing their mouth so they can't scream, grapple them to the ground, and just either slicing at their throat or twisting their neck, whichever is easier with their armor.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Yep. So like, it's kind of like you try to grab it and like rip out their throat. It doesn't happen quick enough, so you just like snap the neck, and they drop and die. And you continue moving forward, round in that corner towards where the other one was going.
Yep.
Now, you're coming up behind the person that was walking away from you that's going towards where you need to go. I imagine you want to try to get as close to them as possible, or do you just want to fuck it and charge right in and just hope that you get the drop on them that way?
How much space is he trying? Like, am I close enough to where I could sneak up on him in time? Or
Yes, you believe that you
Okay.
can, that if you were quiet enough and quick enough, you'd be able to sneak up on them
all
in
right, then I'll
time.
try to be
You're also
sneaky about it.
close enough that you might be able to charge them before they could react.
I'm trying to be sneaky about it first.
Sure, sure, sure. That's a dexterity sneak check.
Mhm.
Oh my god, you are rolling so well, Aaron. This is going to be devastating. The first session of the actual game. You know it's going to come back to bite you.
I know, right?
So yeah, you come up behind this person. They have no clue you're there. As a matter of fact, they so have no clue you're there when you come up behind them and they're walking away from you. I'm actually going to give you a +1 to your attack roll.
Nice.
Yeah. Which you didn't need. You laugh at that.
Yeah.
So you hit. Oh my god. You can describe this one as you sneak up behind this guy.
The exact same thing.
Yep. Just kind of like come up behind him, kick out you come up behind him, kick out a knee so he drops down low, wrap your arm around his face so his mouth is underneath your armpit, and just like lean back, arching back, cracking his neck backwards, just breaking his neck. It's a quick, quiet kill. Drop him to the ground. You don't care if there's a body there.
Nope.
And keep pressing forward towards the weapons. So you do actually get to the weapons room. Now, they don't post guards outside weapons rooms on their own, so that's ridiculous. You know, this is Star Trek, right? So, so you are able to easily get to where the weapons room are. And when I say that, I mean like there is the doorway that you can enter through. That if you go into this is going to be the several different area terminals are where people are handling the various weapon systems that are targeting throughout the thing. So there's several people in there that can react to your coming in. Or you can now jump into service tunnels and get down below to like where it is you can mess with the mechanisms that run the weapon systems.
That seems like the safer option, so we'll do that.
Sure. Now this
More
one's
reliable.
gonna actually require a lore intelligence check for you to like navigate the tunnels quickly. So you it's not that you fail by any stretch of the imagination. However, it does take you a little bit of time to like once you actually drop down, you're like, eventually you come to the realization I probably should have gone to the service hatch back a bit instead of this one. I have to find like a cross tunnel, make my way over there. It's like extended period of time to try to get to where it is that you're going, right?
Yep.
Eventually you are able to finally get to where you are. However, at one point in time, you saw the Batarian alert changed slightly. So before they had a colored alert with a little bit of an alarm, the alarm changed slightly. Could you do me a favor? Could you roll me another lore intelligence, but this time with a +2?
Okay. Well, what color is it? It's the important question.
It's not pink. So color doesn't matter. The change of sound informs you that they know there's an intruder on their ship. They just don't know where or anything like that, of course.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would have said it. But they know there's an intruder on the ship. So they've noticed your mess. Another important thing to note is that you still have that serval-like creature with you.
I do.
Down in these tunnels. So you make your way to the chamber where the weapon systems are, where the actual like mechanism. If somebody was to repair something, it'd be down here. So an important thing to note is you kind of come crawling in. When I say crawl, it's not literally like belly crawl like a soldier across a minefield. You know what I mean? This is more of a bit of a crouch, which is uncomfortable for the Taurian structure. It's a bit of a crouch. Until you get into the actual room, then it opens up a bit so you can like stand up and you have things like way overhead and you know there's spots like underneath your feet where you like move a grate out of the way and there's things down there to work on. But the important thing to note is that where you are right now, there's a service tunnel that goes to a couple different areas, but the biggest, widest, and fastest moving service tunnel from here out actually goes to engineering. Designed, of course, if there's something that goes sideways, somebody has to be able to get here quickly, right? So it's something that you keep in mind. Now that you're in this area, what's your focus?
My focus is going to be on the mid-range guns. I believe the human vessel is going to be attacking this Batarian ship due to having me aboard. So I'm not really concerned about the long range guns
Mm-hmm.
because I'm imagining that the human vessel is going to be ambushing this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna take out the mid range guns first.
Absolutely. So to take out these guns, there's a couple ways you can go about it. One, you can try to fuck with the VI, try to hack through it and mess with it that way. Another one, you can start trying to like pull wires, mess with circuitry and stuff like that in a way that you think is going to be more positive. You can imagine the skill check differences; those are right there. But of course, strategic, not just like I'm randomly cutting shit.
Yeah.
And then there's a third option, which is randomly cutting shit.
Randomly cutting shit.
So.
I mean, if I tear out enough wires, it has to do something, right?
Well, you are correct. Something will happen. So, go with the less, I suppose, crazy
I will
options.
try to be more strategic about it
Sure.
and cut ones I believe will actually damage the weapons.
Sure. So you're actually going to go with the cutting as opposed to the hacking.
Yes.
Cool. So that's actually going to be an electronics check for me, and this is going to be an electronics intelligence check for me, please and thank you. So you're trying.
So, just hacking away at things then.
Yeah. I'm not hacking. I'm hacking. So more or less what this means is that you've spent some time pulling wires and stuff like that and trying to see if you've had an effect on what's going on here. And after you've done so and you still hear the different weapons, actually they've switched. They're actively using the repeaters now. So whatever it is that's attacking this, the human vessel, they're actually in that mid-range area now. And so you actually hear the repeaters going off. You can see the power fluctuations of it. This is not something you're a master of. It's something you got crash courses of while you were at the academy, right?
Right.
So you're welcome to try that same thing again, or you're welcome to try to once again interface with the VI. The Batarian VI are kind of assholes, but you know.
Yeah. I think it's the same roll either way.
Sure. So you want to go
I'm
with
just
the
gonna
keep
just
pulling
hack away
wires?
at it.
Sure.
Yep.
And there's your swing of things. So you you roll with your total there, giving you a oh my god. So you start all of a sudden you see that you hear the repeaters going off. You see the heat levels rising and dropping as all the systems are going. What you eventually end up doing is you pull this one circuit board, and as soon as you do so, you still hear the repeaters going off and the heat levels rising, but not falling. Almost immediately you start to see like you more or less pulled the circuitry that handles the auto cooling and the redistribution of heat that happens from doing these kind of shots. And so the weapons continue on for a few more moments, and almost immediately, we're talking within like 30 seconds, start powering down because it's just safety protocols to make sure they don't like destroy the ship. So this has potentially two effects. Could you roll me a lore intelligence check, please? Oh, no, correction. Don't do that. Could you roll me a heavy weapons intelligence check, please?
Oh, even worse.
Okay. So you know that this can lead to other consequences throughout the vessel. You know you learned this stuff before. But it's one of those like, did you do the job? Is it good enough? It's up to you.
No, just doing the good job is not good enough.
Sure.
So I will see what else I can do here.
So do you want to stay here and continue trying to attack the mid-range weapon systems, or do you want to try to?
You know what? I'm actually going to move on to the defense systems at this point.
Sure. So that's going to be kind of like sticking in the same area, but moving to a different part of it in these tunnels. Once again, you're still kind of like a straight shot to the engineering area, but nothing the end of the world. So you start moving through the tunnels, trying to get there quickly. Just to emphasize the quickness, could you roll me an exert dexterity, please? Well, that's a fucking roll. You loop around corners like it's your job. Like you're like, wow, I actually once had to, clear out a cave similarly structured to this. This is easy work, you know. What sports did you play in the academy? So, you loop around through the area with the greatest of ease. Just nothing gets in your way. Things line up for you, and get to where you need to start assaulting the Guardian systems if you want. How do you choose to attack these ones?
Same way.
Okay, go ahead. So, similar to before, you like start pulling wires and stuff like that, and it's just, it's just not very effective. You're not being extremely effective. Roll me a perception wisdom check. The guardian systems are just wired very differently. You tried to go about the same way as you did before. It just wasn't working out. I imagine you want to continue going about it the same way, same as you did last time?
Yep.
Okay. Try one more time. So as you're sitting there pulling wires and whatnot, maybe getting a little frustrated with the fact that you don't seem to be having any benefit of this. Maybe a moment too late, you hear in a Batarian word, more or less, what the fuck, in Batarian language. Immediately roll me an evasion save. They get the drop on you because of this, and they're actually going to be able to get a free attack before you guys roll initiative.
All right.
So I'm going to make that attack roll for you in a moment. NPCs, because of where they are. You get your armor and everything, so you're not going to die that easy.
And I imagine this is all one scene.
Correct.
Okay.
At least at this point. We'll get you another one shortly. If you survive. Does an 18 hit you?
An 18. Where's my armor?
Near the top middle.
An 18 would hit me. It's going to miss. Because I'm going to use my soldier ability.
I'm hovering over the damage button. Okay.
I know.
Take my fun away. Go ahead. Roll initiative. You don't have to worry about clicking your token. Just click the button and we'll deal with what we...
Cool.
You know what I mean? Okay, so we actually are tied, but you take the initiative because you're the PC.
Yep.
So go ahead. What do you choose to do with your turn?
All right. Well, I imagine I'm kind of like crouched on the ground, fiddling with these wires. So I'm going to spring up as part of dodging that one attack, whip around and lunge at them.
Sure. So you're going to close into melee very, very quickly. Cool.
Yes. And how many are there? Just the one or
the
two?
one?
The one? Oh, okay. Do I want to dual wield? No, I'm just gonna do a regular attack.
So just so everybody knows, the reason why it's a decision dual wield versus not dual wield, dual wielding is a reduced chance to hit but extra damage. So it's one of those, do I want the more likely chance to hit, which doesn't fucking matter because she's rolling crazy high anyways, or do I want to like hurt them? So go ahead, roll your damage. In case you're wondering, whoa, my god, double sixes. Jesus Christ, you're fucking killing everybody. In case you're wondering why, double sixes is what she's able to roll for melee attacks. It just, in short, has to do with being a specially trained melee fighting Taurian, which already have talents. You were saying something?
Nope, that was it.
Cool.
I was just gesturing towards you.
Thank you. So you come rushing at this person. This person isn't as well armored as the other Batarians that you came across because it was an engineering person. So you come rushing forward at the person, and more or less you just jump on them, grab them by the head, and gouge your fingers into their eyes and ears, and just ends them as quickly as possible.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it does let out a loud scream, but you're way down the tunnels. The likelihood of somebody hearing it is pretty slim. So what do you do with wet hands? What do you do now?
Gonna like flick the blood off my hands, and continue doing what I was doing.
So you just want to keep trying that method? Okay, cool.
I'm gonna scold the cat creature for not warning me about the thing.
Actually, you know what? Do me a favor. Roll me a survival charisma. With a -2. Because it's kind of a complex thing.
I really thought you were gonna watch the door.
Unfortunately, it has no idea what you're talking about. However,
it kind of looks at me.
It does see food, and after a few moments, it'll go over and eat some.
All right.
So,
that's fine.
Yeah. Go ahead. So you spend a bit more time ripping away wires and moving circuits and stuff like that, trying to fuck with this thing, and eventually comes to the conclusion that the Guardian system's not going down the same way as the other ones. Roll me one more time a lore intelligence check.
Last time you had me roll a lore. Or sorry, was it a heavy weapons check?
It was, but actually ignore that. I want you to roll me a lore wisdom check. Is what I meant to say.
Oh, wisdom.
Yep.
Sorry, that was intelligence. Yep. Do you want me to re-roll?
Yeah, re-roll with the wisdom.
Okay.
And that was my fault. I said intelligence, so.
No worries.
Okay. So, but one of the things that you do notice while you're working on this stuff and whatnot is that the mid-range systems still haven't been repaired, and the heat systems for the Guardian are still extremely high. It's one of those things where if the Guardian system were to be triggered or fire or whatever, it could also very easily overheat and stop functioning.
Okay.
So go ahead.
I think that once the Guardian system is triggered, it'll go down as well.
Unless they're able to repair the other one.
Okay, so I will continue my focus on the other one, keeping it damaged.
Sure, so you kind of like want to loop back around the other way?
Mm-hmm.
Not a problem. So before you fully commit to that, which you're welcome to do so, there are other things on this ship, reminder, other major systems not directly related to the weapons that you're welcome to focus on instead, unless you're genuinely happy just fucking with their weapons and hoping that this is the job.
I'm genuinely happy just fucking with the weapons. I feel like that gives them the exact amount of edge that they need.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So the battle continues raging on outside, and honestly, by messing with the mid-range systems and keeping them at bay, you are able to do exactly what we had just discussed. Eventually, the ship gets close enough to trigger the Guardian system. They're able to evade it well enough to not be destroyed by it, but the Guardian system fucking overheats. The person that was sent in there to fix it never fixes things, never responds, and so, of course, responders do come in to try to solve the situation. Now, again, you've dealt with Batarians before. So when someone else comes through the tunnels, they actually come through the tunnels at a very different speed, in a very different way. And you're actually able to pick this up relatively quickly once again part of your training. You realize that this is kind of like a fish. It's like a catfish, like a fish or cat is what I'm thinking of. From
They're trying to bait me?
Yeah, trying to bait you. I'm thinking fish or cats from Dungeons and Dragons Deep Underdark, which actually literally hang hooks and whatever. So so they're trying to bait you, more or less, trying to get you to attack this person. So knowing that that's the case, and knowing that they're very likely going to flank you from one of the other tunnels while you're doing this, how do you handle the situation?
So they're coming through the tunnel, right? And
this person's coming through the same tunnel as the other one did.
Okay.
Straight from.
And where are they planning on flanking me from?
From the other tunnels that lead into this area, likely maybe the tunnel that you came in originally.
I am just going to hide.
Sure. So the goal is I've ghosted.
Yep.
Sure. You roll me your dexterity stealth check, sneak check. But before you do so, I have to ask you a question. Do you also try to hide the serval?
Yeah.
Like a creature. So you wanted to hide with you. You're gonna roll that with a -2.
Can I just? Okay. I was gonna say, can I just grab it? But it probably is a -2.
Okay. You're actually not rolling badly.
Yeah.
So you grab the creature and you try to do the best you can hiding as they come in, and immediately when they walk into the area and they come looking around and you can tell that they clearly they've got their own pistol out that they had tucked behind their back as they're making their way through the tunnel with equipment in one hand, which is mostly Omni tool with a few extra things, and a pistol hidden behind them. They come and they look around and they're like, huh. You know what I mean? So they actually kind of look around. They're actively looking for you instead of doing the job. Eventually, two other Batarians come busting through side tunnels at different times, and they're and they have a conversation they're not here. They must have moved on. Blah blah blah. Well, I'm gonna go look for him, says one of the Batarians, kind of rushing down the tunnels. Yep. But then the other one's like, well, you gotta do your job. And he's staying there and standing guard over that one while he's starting to do the job of fixing the mid-range systems. Now, you have a few options here, of course. What are you thinking of doing as you're hiding? They haven't currently noticed you.
I'm gonna give them a solid minute for the other one to go away. and then I'm going to try to take out the soldier that's left in the room.
Sure. So while you're giving them that solid minute, the other one does go away. A little bit of time passes.
I'm going to try to listen to the conversation too, see if he's like describing what's wrong with the weapons.
Sure.
And what they can do to fix it.
Fortunately for them, Batarians aren't very talkative, so they don't exactly like chat it out the way like say you or I might, right? So they kind of keep to their own thing. One of them's doing duty, the other one's keeping watch, and the one that's keeping watch is kind of looking around. Roll me a perception charisma check, please. He's keeping watch and looking around, but perhaps it's just one of those things that you just didn't notice it. You understand Batarians, but you can't know everything about them. You see, Batarians are extremely perceptive because he might not see you with his 4 eyes. He might not see you. He might not even smell the fact that you're still there, but he can smell that serval. They have nostrils that are not only are they ginormous, but their actual like olfactory senses that roll up their face and whatnot are so large. They have better sense of smell than dogs do. So eventually he's just sitting like and comes to realize exactly where the fucking serval is. And
so I'm gonna try to push the cat away, try to create a distraction.
Well, as a response to this, because you didn't succeed with the perception charisma check, all of a sudden, like guessing where you guys are, he turns towards the grates that you're hidden behind with his assault rifle and starts opening fire on the assault rifle. Now, fortunately for you, this actually gives you cover, so it's actually going to impact his attack roll. So I'm going to make an attack roll against you with cover. Does a 15 hit you?
It does not.
Oh, okay. So with the assault rifle, Mass Effect assault rifle does not sound like that. Does not sound like that at all. Pew pew. So as he's like firing into the grates and whatnot, trying to get you. Fortunately for you, because like the grates and how they're set up and everything, they're protected you from any of the shots coming through. Thank the Christ. So, or whatever god you choose to worship, because you know it's fun you can worship whatever god you like in your culture.
Spirits, yeah.
Oh, you going with the spirits thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I hope you do something like that with a party. And spoilers, potential spoilers, Scott. So, so you are lucky. Roll me initiative. Oh, you crush me. So you get to act first. Serval-like creature in your hands, still behind the grates, but then being a little Swiss cheesy.
I'm going to release the serval and see which way it runs.
Sure. Do you release like as an open in the grate? So
no,
like,
I literally
get out?
drop it. So yeah, I'm gonna try to see which way it runs, and I'm gonna go the opposite direction. Like so, it like creates a distraction, perhaps.
Gotcha.
They notice it. Like even if it's just like a split second, like it'll create that opening for me.
Gotcha. Okay. I just want to make sure because I honestly don't think I described this clear. So the grates that you're like hidden behind, imagine like you're inside a room. Imagine you're inside a room that has like a whole bunch of grates around it, and you like pull the grate off to work on the mechanics.
Oh,
but
okay.
it's a rather small area, much like if you were at like a grocery store, like open up a fridge door. Sure, there's a fridge back there, but there's also a lot of computer components, so like there's not much space to like you could shimmy kind of, but that's about it.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
understood.
So like large servers.
So then I'm just gonna charge at the guy.
Yeah, so you kind of like open the thing open, and instead of the serval, you yourself is going to charge.
Yep.
Cool.
I'm rolling this well, my attack.
Oh my god, the lowest you've rolled in the d20 is 16.
Yeah.
Except for that one saving throw. All right, so, okay, you hit. But this one you do not kill, right? Because that's flat, that's 11 your total?
Yep.
Okay,
So
you come rushing at the guy with the assault rifle. You come running at him, like you bust up at the grate. You come running at him, and it's more or less like he gets the assault rifle back up, like he's ready to hit you. But you kind of like come up, and as the first shot's about to go down, you come up and you grab the front of the rifle and smack it back, so it hits him hard in the chest, kind of like making him stumble back a little bit. And then while still holding the rifle, you know pull it outwards, then back in and smash him in one of his sinuses and the side of his face, which is like unending pain for this poor guy. And right as he thinks like, okay, it's about to ease up a bit, you close it, you come in really hard with a knee up between the legs, and the guy's seeing stars at the moment. He's still up, but he is not doing okay right now. Before he gets to act, however, the serval is going to act as well. And the serval, seeing that you're in danger and that it isn't immediately over, jumps to actually protect you and also attacks the guy. That being said, as it goes to attack the guy, let me actually change this right here. Let's see if this does anything good. Attack roll, please. Attack roll, please.
Oh, for me?
No, it's me. Unfortunately, the way that you guys are kind of like tussling back and forth and everything, that's real garbage. The way that you guys are tussling back and forth and everything, it was not able to get in and penetrate and attack him. He is an armored one, so he's actually wearing armor.
Right.
However, he's wearing a lower grade of armor that does not protect against shock damage. And this creature has shock damage because it's a melee attack, meaning it technically does 1 point of damage, which is enough to deliver the poison, which is actually enough to make the guy kind of like immediately start seizing up on his body, and makes it so you can kind of finish the attack, going in with a crushing elbow to the bridge of his nose, shattering the rest of his senses, blinding him, and he kind of drops crippled to the ground. That leaves the other one, the mechanic, back there, who like whips around with his pistol, like like grabs his pistol and whips around. I was like, no, I'll go get you, and like starts shooting at you. It is a heavy pistol, because why not? I miss, Aaron. It's your turn.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. You hit him, Aaron. You hit him. And so as you close in on the mechanic, it's he's got the pistol in his hand, but that doesn't matter. You move up quickly. You smack the pistol out of the way with one hand, and with the same hand, you come thrusting back in, grabbing him by the throat. Your claws dig in, your talons dig in, as do like a devastating punch up into his lower side. Now, it's not that you intend to be gruesome. You're just trying to make these kills quick because your life is on the line. Many lives are on the line. So you don't do like a closed fist punch. You do like a practice, like almost like a beak punch, allowing your talons to rip into him. So he's not okay. He crumples to the ground.
All right, and I'm going to undo the work he did.
Okay. He barely got to work on anything, but things seem to be up, and boom, a huge hit against the ship that you're on. A huge hit against the ship that you're on. It throws you off of your feet. You are thrown to the side. The serval creature goes flying into the air for a second and smashes into something. Like it's not crippled or broken, but it's injured from it. It is a very uncomfortable experience. When you kind of get back up and you like look at the systems to see like how things are functioning, it's gonna be a lore intelligence check for me. So you try to check out the system, see what's going on. The problem is that the monitors themselves are a little kind of like thrown off. The way that the serval had smashed into the wall, it actually screwed up one of the monitoring systems. So it's making it difficult to read, especially since your own head is spinning a little bit.
Did the Batarian that had started working on this, I imagine he had his own Omnitool up and running and was probably running diagnostics. Can I look at that?
So, as a reminder, the way I have Omnitools work in this world is you can't see other people's hollows on the Omnitools. You can only see your own, otherwise the whole planet would be, like, everything would be distracted as you see orange everywhere. You're like, well, I can't concentrate. However, you can interface with his Omnitool and try to check that way.
Okay.
This will be a hacking check, so therefore, decryption intelligence. You try to interface with it. Unfortunately, it's maybe because of the different languages or whatever in there, you weren't able to pull the data up. So,
All right. Well, then I guess I will continue looking at the machinery itself.
Okay, sure. So you just want to try to do other diagnostics.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So it's going to be the same as I said beforehand, lore
Mhm.
intelligence. Very warm now, as it
Uh,
wasn't before.
mm,
So you read the systems, and
mhm.
you believe the screen's all monitor, the monitor's all fucked up, or whatever. Reading the systems, and it seems like maybe the weapons are offline.
All right. Well, good. And I'm gonna grab my little cat creature, and I'm gonna try to look for an escape pod now.
Absolutely. So you start trying to make your way towards the escape pod.
Mhm.
So you're gonna have to you backtracking. Do you want to go out through engineering? Do you want to go, which is going to be way more populated? You want to try to sneak out to the side tunnel you came from originally, which is where that other guy had gone. Sorry, which is where one of the guys came from, but didn't go to. Or do you want to go through the other tunnel where the other guy definitely went to?
We'll go that direction. If he's going there, he might not have allies in that direction. Whereas
Cool.
if he came from an area, it might be more populated.
Do you intend to like try to catch up to him, or no? I'm going to move at my own pace and figure things out.
No, move at my own pace. Try to be sneaky about it.
Cool. I'm not going to make you roll a sneak check until after you get out of the tunnels. It's relatively easy to get through there. At some point in time, roll me, like as you're making your way through the tunnels, roll me a perception wisdom check, please. You do hear back in the tunnels, like right as you're leaving the exit, like back they're like shouting at each other and whatnot, as others are clearly emerging into them, trying to find out what the fuck's going on. They're finding dead bodies in there. They're trying to figure shit out, but it's kind of too late now. Another big hit hits the side of the ship as you're trying to kind of get to the hatch to release yourself out of the maintenance tunnels and back into the general area. It hits you hard. Once again, you kind of get thrown off your feet. The serval creature gets whacked, but both of you are able to recover fine enough. And you're like, oof, okay. Jesus, this thing is taking some serious blows now. And you can open the hatch and leave. It's actually like an old Russian sub. It's not like that. It's just, you open the door and get out. So when you step out into the hallway, you can actually see that there's, out in the hallways here, it's actually a number of dead Batarians in the hallway here. But you also see scorch marks against the walls. The air in here is particularly dry. It's kind of warm and has a funny taste and odor to it. So...
Okay. Does this mean anything to me, like in-game?
Roll me an intelligence lore check. It's very likely a overheating burst somehow happened in this area. Why?
Somehow.
Where? You don't really know. You weren't able to get the... It's like, clearly this is some sort of like plasma effectively flash or whatever, right?
Okay.
So...
Alright, I will move forward. Probably going quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened here.
You want to start doing like either... So exert, choose a physical stat of your choice. Tell me what it is before you roll it. Do you want to do one of those, or I'd rather still focus on sneak?
I'll do an exert dexterity check to get to this area.
Sure. So it's going to be kind of like looping and moving quickly.
Yep.
Okay. So your prerogative right now is finding an escape pod.
Yes.
You're trying to get through this area as quickly as you can to find an escape pod. At one point in time, as you're making your way through, heading towards where you remember the map showing you where an escape pod most likely is, or lifeboat, or whatever you want to call it, but most likely are, you actually come across a group of 4 Batarians that are kind of like running from one area to another. One of them catches sight of you and is like, the intruder! And like they turn their attention towards you, like one, then all 3 of the others. But like you're too quick. So you notice them, they notice you. You jump to the side as they like whip around, and they start firing weapons long after you get your legs out of cover. Now they're stupid Batarians. That sounds racist. They're stupid Batarians, so they're just going to continue firing for a little bit, even though they don't even see you at the moment, as you kind of like continue hightailing it down that side tunnel. This point in time, I actually have to have you roll for me a survival intelligence check to try to remember the exact easiest route to get there, because you have a hot pursuit on you.
All right.
You're trying to find your way to the area. It's just with behind you, pulling up the chase and firing at you. It's making it too difficult to make these snapshot decisions of where you want to go. It's more or less you're picking safety over speed at the moment, which is understandable.
Right.
You can roll me that check one more time, as well as the exert check of your choice. Tell me what the exert check is going to be.
Oh, nice. And the exert dexterity once again. I try to just be quick about it.
So you are being quick, and as a matter of fact, you're hugging around corners, taking cover the best you can to make sure that these shots coming at you are going to be likely misses. I'm actually going to take 2 shots against you. Okay. They are going to be 2 burst fire shots against you. Both of them are going to take some serious penalties on the attack roll as they're pursuing you. So, first one. This is to equate the entire chase. Okay.
That hits.
Cool. I have no idea what your shields are, so... Oh, I did too much damage. That's too much damage. That's 9.
That's 9 points of damage? Okay.
Yeah.
My shields are 15.
Okay, cool. So you don't even suffer anything from that. So your shields are still at 6. Okay, awesome. So the second attack roll that takes place because of that is...
That matches my AC.
Which is technically a hit. I'm so sorry. By the way, this counts as a separate scene because you go through the tunnels.
Oh.
Yeah. That was into, and there was supposed to be a separate scene. And so it's more or less get into and do damage, separate scene, get out and leave.
Then yeah, that's going to miss.
So you want to choose for this one to miss?
Yep.
Okay. I'm so sorry I did not announce that
that's
beforehand.
Okay. No worries.
So this first attack hits you, kind of takes down your shields a bit, and you continue pursuing for a little while. It's not like the next attack hits you immediately afterwards. So by the time the other attack would have hit you and kind of dive out of the way, it actually gives time for your shields to continue increasing. Yep. As a reminder, if you go 2 rounds without taking a single hit, your shields start recharging at the rates of 1 per round or whatever it is after that, whatever I've written down. So either 1 or 2 a round after that.
Yep.
Okay, so your shields will actually effectively, at the end of this moment, be back up to full. Nice. Because you didn't take that hit. So you are charging your way, trying to make your way to the tunnels, and you finally start making smarter decisions. Just scrolling back up for a second so it can be seen. You actually rolled a survive 8 total. So yay. So you make your way all the way to where you remember the life parts. Like, oh my god, this is the tunnel I need to be at. This is where it's going. And then you hear the repeaters go off. My apologies, not the repeaters go off. You hear the guardian system go off. Something you thought couldn't happen. You didn't expect the guardian system could go off again. You thought everything was offline. But somehow, some way, the guardian system goes off. But at the same time that happens, all of the lights in the hallway that you're in completely shut off.
Yep.
Everything shuts off. More important than that, not only does do the hallway shut off, but you feel yourself getting a little bit lighter. Now, there's still gravity here. Gravity that's done in these spaceships are done by mass effects fields. That's how they handle... Oh, they grow the mass of the floor. So the mass is a little bit lighter now. So you feel significantly lighter. But you still can stand. It's kind of like, think moon. Earth to moon Luna. So that's a little concerning. Luckily, it's also disorienting for those pursuing you as well.
Right.
This time, I'm going to force you to roll me a survive dexterity check.
All right.
Which is what you chose the whole time anyways, so yay for you. That's an exceedingly good roll. You actually take advantage of the reduced gravity. So instead of continuing to run along the floors like you were beforehand and whatnot, you find moments where you grab talons and you dig into a spot where you can get a good handhold. You crouch up.
Pull myself forward.
Yeah, you just do launches, these huge rabbit-like launches, pulling yourself along. The upside is you start moving at extreme speeds and easily grow the distance between you and your pursuers. The downside is, while you're intelligent and trained and know how to handle this, the serval-like creature is not designed for these reduced gravities.
Oh, but I had grabbed it.
You did grab it. It was a long scene.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to have grabbed it again to pull it along with you?
Yeah.
It's going to be 2 checks then.
I'm attached now.
Hasn't died yet. It's been like 40 minutes. It's not dead yet. So,
I really expected to die a long time ago.
Roll an evasion save to have grabbed it.
Mm-hmm. That's a fail.
It is a fail.
Oh,
You tried to grab it.
okay.
You tried to grab the thing up, but it didn't come. As you tried to reach to get the thing again, because it's not like it listens to your commands, right? So you kind of like shied away because it's freaked out at the moment. As you tried to do so again, and it kind of like growled at you a little bit. You're like, I want to get it.
Ah.
Fuck it, and you have to like keep going. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you're making your way to the life pods.
Mm-hmm.
You finally get to the area where the life pods are. When you because this isn't like a quick thing. These rounds that I'm more or less describing are extended periods of time.
Mm-hmm.
You start to feel a strange sensation as you're coming up to like where the life pod area is. You feel a bit of gravity again, but it's not quite to the floor where it was before. You actually feel gravity kind of pulling you forward a little bit.
Huh.
And it's like one of those like, okay, this is like I'm kind of like holding myself up as well as down at the same time. It's a little weird. As the ship is doing whatever it is it's doing. You did find your way over to the life pod, and you immediately rush up to the thing to try to get into it, to get to where they are. It's a small hallway. The hallway already has a handful, it's 5 Batarians inside of it that are trying to get into life pods. 3 of them are severely injured, 2 of them are not, and they're trying to activate life pods. There are a dozen life pods here. Each life pod can easily hold 5 people inside of it. They have, at the moment, no idea that you arrived. If you can give me a sneak check of 6 or higher with a -2. Dexterity, of course. Oh!
The luck was gonna run out. Eventually.
Oh! You deftly moved those huge jumps, as I had said, to get to where you needed to go. And at one point in time, you knew the life pods, you knew it's one of these tunnels nearby. And you jump. And as you jump, you jumped right past a tunnel that they're supposed to be in. And as you saw it, you're like, oh shit! And you like try to slow yourself down, or whatever. Not like you were super loud, that you made a lot of noise. You're not clumsy. You're not a fool. But you did fly past the hallway that you needed to get into. You did have to stop and come back. Unfortunately, they saw you jump by. They knew you weren't one of them, and they guessed you were coming back. So they're here waiting for you as you come around the corner. As I said, 3 very injured, and 2 seemingly not at all. When you come back around the corner, they're fully armed and waiting for you. Roll initiative. You're both aware of each other. I'm going to double initiative, and I'm going to have the healthy and injured as separate ones.
Okay.
Rolling healthy first. Rolling injured second. Okay.
So it's 2 healthy, 2 injured?
2 healthy, 3 injured. And my 2 healthies get to go first. So as you come up to this area, shields are back to full and everything. The Batarians see you, you see them, and all of a sudden, they have their weapons trained at you, and they're firing, baby. Here we go. Checking this down here. Making my attack roll. So, luckily, you saw them before they actually pulled the trigger, before they fully opened fire, and you were able to take cover behind what it was that you were jumping by beforehand. You're smart enough to take that cover. The first one missed you because of it. Let's see if the second one hit you or missed you because of it. The second one hit you. Despite the cover, they were able to get a shot off. and take out 2/3 of your shields in one hit. So it's like your Mass Effect shields where your kinetic barriers were able to reduce the mass of the bullet enough so it didn't harm you. But God, that hurt your shields. That was not a good thing. It's currently your turn. As for the distances between you and them, they're all within range that you can move up and make a melee attack if you wanted to.
Awesome.
But they're also very close to one another.
Exactly. So I'm going to run up and I'm going to Savage Fray, getting as many as possible.
They are all very close to one another.
Awesome. So I'm gonna lunge for the one of the wounded ones first.
So you can attack a wounded one. Okay.
Yep. And I'll do wield. I've been rolling really well on my attacks.
Look something up really quickly. That's a lot of fucking damage. So, a really high chance to hit. Roll your damage. Yeah.
And it's 4 shock damage to everything around it. Oh, and it's what? +7, so it's 21 damage, and then 4 to everything else.
Jesus Christ. So wounded one, that's why I thought it was funny you go for a wounded one, but you go for a wounded one, and more or less like they're on the ground, injured as it is, and you just come running in, and you like just do a jump and land on the person. It's just one of those things that as you jump and land, you just close your fist right at the perfect time, so your fingers dig underneath them. You're hitting them in the face with your fist as well as your claws, kind of like clawing into them at the same time. But as you do this, and the others are wheeling around to hit you, you immediately stand up and you like thrust a punch at this one over here because of the reduced gravity. Crouch down low, kick the body up of the one that you just killed over at the other 2 injured ones, and it smashes into them. How much is your shock damage? 4? Knocks them completely out cold. The other 2 injured ones, and then like with the last second before he's able to get his gun off on you again, you close the distance, rushing up into the other guy that you haven't hit yet, and just do like a shoulder hit to him, smashing him into the wall behind him because there's not much gravity to slow down the hit, right? You're kind of now like floating around trying to regain your own balance in this uncomfortable scenario, but holy shit, Savage Fray is devastating. 3 dead injured ones. They don't even get a turn. It's now back to the other 2.
Yep.
Do you know what the rules are of assault rifles and melee?
No, I don't.
You can't.
You can't?
You cannot.
Because I can just push it aside, I imagine.
Two-handed weapons in melee are non-thing. One-handed weapons or pistols, something like that in melee are, I think they get a -4. Like, it's devastating to try to do that in melee. So, they're going to have to switch to good old-fashioned Omni Blades that ain't fucking around. Like, they could stab you. So they're going to do that. Unfortunately, they're not trained in that. Just give 1 second as I finish lining things up. Ooh, what the Sorry. Let's do it this way. That works better. And do I have a Omni Blade set up? I do not. Let's do it this way. Okay. And that's going to be based off of this skill here. Omni Blades do 1d6 plus 1. Cool. Ready? There we go. First attack against you is a miss. And the second attack against you is a miss. As they both drop their guns, or at least put them to the side because they know they're not going to work well in melee combat. They both pull Omni Blades and immediately start trying to stab at you. One comes at you with one quick punch high, literally just try to punch you in the face, having their freshly formed Omni Blade stab you. But for you, it's a very, very easy thing where you can grab his fist, literally grab it and stop it from hitting you and get stepping out of the way of the blade, so it's not even a concern anymore. The other one goes low and tries to cut out your leg, but you easily reposition yourself back so it misses your thigh entirely. It's your turn. So you're doing dual wielding, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, roll your damage. Roll your other attack roll. Oh wait, you don't get another attack roll, my apologies. So the way this one actually works is that guy that you had, like I said, you grabbed the thing, you were holding on to it. More or less, you bring a knee up really high and fast and hit him perfectly in the solar plex, kind of like weakening him and collapsing him forward. You use that momentum and the fact that his legs kind of come out because there is no gravity. You use that momentum. You yourself, because the way you're pulling him, pull yourself up off of the ground. As you flip up to the ceiling, you curl your legs on the ceiling and thrust down as hard as you can, literally pushing his arm, his blade, everything into the guy beneath him, cutting into the guy down below. This is something that most people wouldn't be able to pull off, but you are a trained melee fighter. This is your thing. Isn't your skill level 2?
Yeah, it's 2.
Yeah, it's like you're the best in the region. Like, that's the way it works. Is when you're skill level 2, you're like the best in a sector. Like, that's really scary. That leaves you and one other Batarian. And you know what he does? He goes to a life pod. He's just like, fuck this. There's like, okay, there's a dozen life pods here, and there's 2 of us. Why are we doing this? He does like the disengage action to not fight you, makes his way up to a life pod, and starts hammering away at a button like you really have to get to work on time, but the elevator won't show up, hoping that the doors will open. The plus side is he's not attacking you.
Yeah.
Or she. You can't tell with them. The downside is that this was an issue I was about to describe to you when you finally got to the doors. There's no power on the life pods. So, like, it's actually not opening. That's why they're hammering away at it. So, what's your reaction to the fact that they abandoned the combat?
I will let them go, and I will concentrate on the new problem at hand.
Okay, so you can clearly tell there's no power coming to the doors. They can't open up. The life pods aren't functioning. But with a quick look at the monitors overhead, you can actually see, because there are some parts of this that are controlled from the life pod has its own power source. You can see that the life pod, the monitor that tells you that, is telling you there's a power source. It's functioning. Everything's good. For some reason, the doors that open up to the life pods are part of the ship's power source, not the life pods, and that is currently not functioning. What the fuck do I do? What's your plan here?
I'm going to try to fix the doors.
Okay, so you're going to go with an electronics check.
Yep.
Electronics intelligence. So immediately you just start going over to like a wall using your Omni tool, trying to like scan in and find out where the wires are, where the problem is, so on and so forth. Not working. You see the Batarians over there. He actually grabbed up something off the ground, like a hunk of metal. He's trying to pry the door open. It's not really working out for him. He's trying to pry it open. Again, ain't happening. What do you do now?
I don't really know what other mechanism I can use to open up these doors. I mean, can I try to route power to it somehow?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like my own Omni tool has like a battery, I imagine, to it. Essentially, right?
That's exactly.
I just need like a little spark. Yeah.
Exactly. So why don't you actually do an electronics check with a +2 as you try to more or less drain one of your own Type A power cells to make this happen. Unfortunately, you know that your plan's working, but you set up your wires poorly, very, very poorly. And so, like, clearly the plan would have worked, but because you're just not good at this shit, your wires are set up so poorly that the you actually drain pretty much the whole battery for your Omni tool without successfully opening the doors. Fortunately, you also understands that every weapon around you
has batteries. Yeah,
has batteries inside them, so you can try again. But your own Omni tool is effectively empty on the battery.
All right.
Go ahead.
So I will...
and you feel that strange pull. Like gravity's getting stronger, but like you're kind of now standing, like holding yourself up a little bit. Like you're struggling to stay on the ground normally. Like gravity's getting stronger, but you're like coming up sideways now as you're like, I really gotta get in this door, but this is not easy. I'm so glad to be DMing standing up. Don't you miss the old days, Aaron?
Yeah, right? Bouncing around the room.
I'm so
literally
physical. Such a physical person. Jim Carrey was my favorite growing up. Okay.
A little bit better.
No, significantly better. So you're able to kind of grab up the guns. We'll say like you grab your own assault rifle and pistol, one of the other ones there, and just for shits and giggles, the last assault rifle that's there, you start grabbing all these crazy wires and just sticking everything to it, doing everything you can, just to try to like tap into the. There's a positive and a negative side to the power cells in these weapons. Which, by the way, how do you access those? Good question, Scott. You rip them open because you have crazy talents. So you rip them open, get to the power cells, hit positive and negative parts of it, and then just like juice the door as hard as you can. The spark is actually so strong. Roll me a physical save. Sorry, you didn't do like a really good success. You just succeeded. So that the shock's so strong, it actually hits you for a pretty nasty blow.
I don't think I succeeded on a single save.
Nope, that's ominous. So you're actually going to suffer 7 points of electrical damage as the shock hits you and throws you all the way back fucking across the room. Holy shit, that hits you. You're dazed for a moment. Ugh.
I imagine that goes right through my shields and everything, right, and just to my health.
Straight to your health points.
Yep.
You dazed for a moment, and you like wake up. You're kind of like getting up, like, okay, I'm good, and you stand yourself up off the grounds. You also technically take a little bit of the what's that shit called? My apologies. Sorry, system strain. Technically, you take as well, but don't worry about it. So because it's a quick thing. So you technically take some system strain too. But then you wake up and you look, and as you're coming to, you see.
Yeah.
That motherfucker.
I know.
Just ran into your life pod.
Do I have time to shoot him?
It's a good question. Do you have a gun?
I do. Unless I drained all the batteries out of mine.
Yeah. You just grabbed up the guns as quickly as you could and started draining them. So you might have time to get into the life pod behind him.
All right. Let's try it.
Okay. You're going to roll me an evasion save to see if that's going to be good enough.
I can't make saves.
That's okay. You aren't able to cleanly jump in the door, but you're able to grab the door. You're able to roll me a physical save to see if you can force the door open enough that you can slip in. Which you do with the greatest of ease. I'm going to keep making her saves until she succeeds one now. Which you do with the greatest of ease. So you try to get in there, you cannot get in cleanly. So it's like you grab the door, no, and you're just like, fuck this! Pushing the doors open, the air's starting to get thin inside the ship and everything, but you push the fucking doors open. You're holding them open enough that you step through and they snap shut behind you. And as soon as they snap shut behind you, you hear like a oh, sorry, bing, and then you feel your life pod get launched from this thing. Which is funny because these things have their own gravity. And here you are. It doesn't matter how this thing's tumbling and spinning or moving perfectly straight. It doesn't matter. Because here you are, standing with a door behind you and a Batarian in front of you in the pod.
Yeah.
Needless to say, his day does not end very well. But then again, neither does yours, as you hit the ground with incredible speeds. Because this life pod, while functioning, has air support and all that stuff, is not designed to be the smoothest of landings in the world. It's Batarian life pods. They go kind of cheap. It's designed to keep you alive. So as you hit the ground hard with your life pod in indeterminate amount of time later on, should you do me a favor and roll me another physical save? You're knocked flat out cold. You hit the ground so hard, you start flying forward, hit your head, and we fade to black. So, Aaron, thank you so much for coming by. I mean, I wanted an opportunity to kind of get you to, the whole point of these is to get you to think about your character, what she's like, what her personality is going to be like, even though you, unlike anybody else, aren't really going to get an opportunity to RP the way that other PCs get the opportunity to do. But I wanted you to kind of get into the mind of her and how she's going to behave and handle scenarios. How do you like your build?
Oh, I love it. It's great.
Yeah? Do you feel as though you're I mean, obviously you're in scenarios where you're like, other PCs would handle this, but do you feel well-rounded enough?
I do feel about bound enough, and that was kind of something we talked about a lot while building this character.
Awesome.
When we initially built her, she was very straightforward, and I felt I want her to do a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. And we were able to see, because obviously there was still straightforwardness to the fact that you were very melee combat-y.
Yes.
And you were able to see the successes with that, a combination of maintaining a focus of that to a degree, but also the restructuring of certain rules, which actually benefited you because literally Rick was like, Scott, there's like nothing here for melee people. And I was like, that's a good point, Rick. Let's fix that. And so I did. And you got to take advantage of it. So awesome. It was fun to watch her rip things apart, fuck up with the ship. I'm excited for everybody to see how these little one-shots come together. No PC has seen or knows the full story, only even part of the story for some of the other PCs, of what happens. So maybe they will also see the one-shots and see how they play out. Maybe they'll just walk around ignorant because technically that's what their characters are. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming by and doing this. And I'm looking forward to seeing you meet the rest of the party. Bye.